Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Parasyte, the Maxim, aka Kiseijuu, episode 4. Alright, and this episode starts off with, it starts off right where it left off, actually, and we see Shinichi actually defeating A. Alright, this dude Shinichi just took the the table leg and stabbed him right in the chest, and blood started coming out like a spigot, like that. Oh man, that was actually pretty cool. All right, then he had to pierce it through his back in order to try and stop the blood from coming out the other end. That was actually kind of cool. I like that because I've actually never seen that before in anime. Like people actually taking advantage of biology to that extent in that specific way. I've never seen that before, so that was interesting. Which is weird because this manga came out in the 80s, so you think like, oh well. Maybe someone since then. This isn't like a revolutionary thing. Like it's been out for 30 years, so like people would have the opportunity to see this. Think, oh, I should do something like that. But I don't know. Maybe people have, and I just haven't seen the anime or manga. But whatever. Shinichi ends up beating A. All right. And he ends up trying to go to Tommy to try and share the body, I guess, share the host, so that he could be saved. But Tommy was like, nah, I'm telling you, you were stupid for coming here, and you're gonna get what's coming to you. So she jumps out the window and lets him blow up. All right, so she finishes him off. All right, and after this is when we get the beginning of one of the main goals of the episode, which is developing Shinichi's mom and her feelings for Shinichi in terms of like her caring about him as her son and the concern she has over how he's been acting differently and everything like that. You see her just being concerned because he's locked himself up in his room because he practically killed a man. Like he was talking about how he could still feel the sensation in his hand when he stabbed the dude. So like she can tell something's up with Shinichi, all right? And they're developing her. And I'm calling it. I'm calling it. She's going to get turned into a parasite. You know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. I admit that my theory was off. I admit that. All right. That scar was not because of the fact that she had already been turned into a parasite or taken over by one. It was because of the whole tempura drop thing. You know, I don't really see the purpose in giving her a scar and having it have pretty much no significance at all. I mean, the event itself helped develop the fact that his mom, what's her name, Nobuko, I want to say, it helps develop the fact that she cares about Shinichi, but she's a mother, obviously. Like the greater majority of all mothers care about their sons. All right, like this isn't like some revolutionary concept. Like it's like I'm glad that they are developing this relationship, but giving her a scar for the sole purpose of showing like, hey, guess what? You almost got hit in the head once. Like that's I just don't see how this event can have any relevance later in this series. So like, and like usually if you give a character a scar, it's not just for the heck of it. You know, like you either have them get a specific scar like Kenshin, like that one scar that just lets everybody know this is Batosai the Manslayer. All right, and it has the actual significance. Or you give them a bunch of scars all over to show like, oh man, this person's been real battle tested. They've been through a lot of wars and stuff like that. They're incredibly powerful. They've been through a lot. They're strong and tough. Like, you know, like usually scars have a purpose of some sort, but I just don't like. I'm spending way too much time talking about a scar. All right, but like I just don't see the purpose. Like usually you don't give a character a scar just for the heck of it. You know, like I don't know. It would be like if an author decided to troll the audience and introduce a transfer student, and have that transfer student be completely irrelevant for the rest of the series. Just like never do anything, because everyone would expect that person to be important, and then they just don't do anything the entire time. They never even show up again. All right, like that's what it feels like for me right now. Like I'm trying to figure out, why is this scar a thing, and I can't figure it out. I can't figure out how it has any relevance at all whatsoever. Whatever. It's, at the end of the day, it's not a big deal at all. And like I said, I don't know why I'm talking so long about it. Let me just move on. All right. Oh yeah. The point of all that was that while the scar wasn't, it didn't end up being proof that she had already been taken over by a parasite. I still think that she will at some point be taken over by a parasite, because if you look at the opening, you see her get those slashes. You see her get those slashes across her face, like her head's about to unravel and turn into blades and crap that the parasites have. So I'm telling you, she's gonna turn into a parasite. She's gonna get got. All right, this girl is gonna get got sooner or later. Maybe it'll be on this vacation trip that they're taking. Maybe it won't be. But at some point, she's gonna get got. All right. To quote R-Truth, she's gonna get got. All right. But anyway, oh yes, speaking of that vacation, initially Shinichi was against it because of all the parasites that are out there, and he thought that his parents would be in danger. All right, but then after talking with Migi, he decides, all right, it should be okay if they go. So then he does a complete 180 and says, you know what, it should be fine if you guys go. All right, and that just makes his mom that much more skeptical, because you notice that Shinichi has been changing. We noticed this back at the playground with the cat and everything, and the three kids trying to hit the cat with the rocks, and Shinichi looking at them and telling them that he was going to eat them and stuff like that. We've seen Shinichi go through changes that are very visible to us because we're anime viewers and we aren't living. If you are living in the verse, it's much harder to notice stuff like that than it is for us, because we're expecting plot twists and stuff like that. So we can go outside the fourth wall and say, well, this is probably what's going to happen. But if you're inside that fourth wall, it's not logical to think that way. All right. So for us, it's easy, but for them, it's harder. Yet his mom is able to notice these changes. Murano was able to notice him changing. She asked him after they played basketball, I think it was, are you really Shinichi? Like, she's noticed him changing. Tommy, his mom, noticed her changes right away. All right, so I'm trying to decide if this is just like, if the changes that these characters are going through, if this is important because of the women in their life, or if that's just a coincidence that it's just been women so far, and that it's just people close to you in general. All right, because the only other man that we've seen that has been close to Tamiya or Shinichi has been Shinichi's father, but he's not the type of character that gives a crap about anything. All right, this dude just casually walked up to his son and was like, "Shinichi, are you doing drugs?" Like, he just casually, this dude just casually talks about murder in the middle of breakfast. Okay, this dude watched his wife get permanent scars on her arm from being burnt, and he just casually points out like, "Oh, Nobuko, your hand," and she's like, "Oh my god," and he's just like standing there like, "Hey, you should check that. You should do something about that." Then he just like taps Shinichi on the head like it does something. He's like, your mother's hurting more right now. But like the way he said it, it's just like he didn't care at all. Like this dude can get shot in the stomach and he'd just be sitting there like, oh man, I should probably do something about this, shouldn't I? Like maybe I should go to a doctor. Oh man, honey, Nobuko, have you seen my phone? I should probably call 112 right about now. Like like this dude could be shot in the stomach and literally not even care. So he's not a very good example at all. All right, but this, I'm confident that these characters going through these changes is an important plot point, because it's going to decide how the characters who notice the changes, like Murano and Shinichi's mom Nobuko, it's going to determine where their characters go from here. All right. So like I said, I'm pretty sure Nobuko is going to get taken over by a parasite. And I'm pretty sure Murano, like I said last week, is going to join up with Shinichi and be like a part of the team or something, like, you know, team. It's only two of them right now, but be a part of the team. You know, like, I think that these characters noticing these changes are going to influence the relationships between them a lot and be very, very important in further developing the characters themselves. Okay, and it's a big deal if it's just women in general, or if it's just women specifically, I mean, or if it's people in general, because that either limits the relationships that can be altered by this and developed, or it expands and makes it possible for anyone to be like this. Right. So again, we don't know. There aren't many guys in the series that are like actually close to any of these people. But I mean, except for Shinichi's dad, but you know, he's an outlier. But yeah, the closest we've come is that dude who likes Murano and tried to beat up Shinichi for like no reason. This dude was like, literally just punched him in the face. Like this dude. Oh man, I don't like that dude at all. Like, who does that? Like, well, no, let me not even get onto that topic. Like, the point is that there's either it's the scale that's the difference, pretty much. It's the scale. Either way, there are going to be relationships that are altered by this, and characters are going to get development because of it. But it's just a matter of scale and how many people are actually affected. All right. Now, the other, like, that was the one main part of the episode. All right, the relationship between well, it was developing Nobuko and her relationship with Shinichi. All right. But the other part of the episode was focused on Tamiya. All right. She abandons her current identity at the school as a teacher there because the teachers got together to talk to her and say, like, listen, this isn't exactly a good image for the school if we have a teacher here who's pregnant and isn't married. And not only is she not married, but she doesn't even want to say who the father is. Like, that's just not a good image. That's suspicious. That's some suspicious crap right there. All right, which it is suspicious because the father's the dude that just freaking attacked the school, you know. But she can't exactly say that. All right, so it is legitimately bad news. But they're just suspicious of the fact that it's bad news. They're thinking it might be bad news, but we should just be sure about it. Just say, like, we need to do something about this. But they're actually, usually when characters do that, they're wrong. But in this case, they're right to do that because she is legit bad news. But she can see it coming from a mile away. So she's like, oh man, I didn't expect this to happen. I'd rather not have attention. I'd rather not have all this attention on me because of this. So I'll just leave and abandon this identity. So that's what she does. She leaves the school. All right, and she actually ends up running into her mother, or her mother goes to her, and she's able to figure out right away that is Tamiya Ryoko's mother. All right, but her mother, after hearing her talk a few times, is able to figure out instantly, like, this is not my daughter. You know, who are you? You know, and listen, all right. If you are under the impression that the person you're talking to is an imposter, all right, and that they are dangerous and that there's something suspicious going on, what you don't do is you don't tell them to their face, I am going to call the cops on you, and then proceed to turn your back to them. That is something you do not do. This is not a horror movie. Well, I was going to say it's not a horror movie, but it is a show that's kind of horror-esque, you know. Maybe it's perfect for these characters to make stupid decisions like that. But still, you don't turn your back to the person who you just said you were going to call the cops on. I'm sorry, that's stupid. All right, I couldn't believe it when I saw that. She just turned her back to Tamiya Ryoko, walked away, went to pick up the phone, still has her back turned, acting like the girl wasn't going to do anything. I'm like, no. I couldn't believe it when I saw that, but whatever. Moving on. Her mother was able to figure out that Tamiya Ryoko was not the real Tamiya Ryoko, all right? And Tamiya herself she can't believe it. Like, she's like, my face is perfect, my voice is perfect. She shouldn't be able to tell that I'm different. All right, so she thinks that that's all it takes. So clearly, she just doesn't know enough about humans yet. She doesn't really know she doesn't really understand the concept of personality traits, and that a person can look the same and sound the same but not act the same, and that's important. That's just as important as the other two. All right. So she is interested. She still has more research she has to do in the humans, and that's actually one of the reasons why she leaves Shinichi alive, because she was gonna kill him. All right, but she sees the change that she noticed the changes that Shinichi made too, and she says, "Oh, you're not pure anymore. You know what? I'll leave you alive." Okay, so she's looking to learn more about humans, right? And she said it last episode, didn't she? How she wanted to do research, right? So I mean, there you go, there you go. All right, so Tommy Ryoko is learning more about humans, and her desire for knowledge about the way humans operate and act and function is what's keeping Shinichi alive right now, because as we learned in this episode, there is something called a morph patterns, and Tommy Ryoko has two of them. Right, so all the people we've seen so far just have one, which is when their head opens up. But she has two patterns, which is, I would assume, the first being the fact that her head can split apart and the blades just flip out. All right, but the other being the fact that her hair itself can turn into blades. So I guess those are the two patterns. All right, but yeah, we learn about morph patterns. So I guess, is there a limit to how many morph patterns a Parasyte can have? I would assume so, but I don't know what would be considered a high number of morph patterns. So I can't really speculate on what an upper limit is. Yeah, I don't know. But that is an interesting concept of morph patterns, because you can assume that the more morph patterns you have, the more powerful you are. Is it possible to go from having one morph pattern to having two? Like, can you evolve, so to speak, and get more? Like, I don't know. You know, this is interesting. So this is an interesting concept that they introduced. Another interesting thing is the fact that Migi can actually separate from Shinichi now and just go walk around on his own. All right. And Migi ends up explaining that I could technically go and attach to another body. However, it's possible that that new body would reject me, and if it does, I would die. All right. So it's still dangerous. Which is why Migi in episode 2 didn't just go to that other dude. Alright, because, well, at the time he hadn't really done all of the experiments necessary to master separation in that way. But still, like, he still wouldn't have done it anyway, because he just didn't know it would be too risky. The body could just could reject you and then you're dead. Alright, so it was just the risk he wasn't willing to take. Excuse me. Yeah, there was one funny scene when Migi did separate, that he went back onto Shinichi's arm, and his mom came in, and he's like got his hands like this underneath his bed, and there's like moving around, and it looked like this dude was just like, oh, it was, as his dad put it looked like he was spanking the monkey. All right, it looked like he was spanking the monkey. All right, that was funny. That was funny. His hands are just like moving up and down underneath. Yeah, that was funny. All right, but yeah, that's it for the episode. I'm impressed I talked for 20 minutes about it. But yeah, that's my review for episode 4 of Parasyte. To my first impressions video probably wasn't even this long. I talked about 3 episodes in less time than it took me to talk about 1. Jesus. But anyway, overall, I'll give this episode an 8 out of 10. 8.5. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was really good. Mostly due to the fact that it's setting up for the future of the series, where it's laying out the blueprints for how things can go in the future. So that's the biggest reason why it's getting an 8.5, because it's letting you know, well, this could happen, but this could happen too, and this could happen too. So it's just like development for relationships and showing how they can grow, and just a lot of development for the future. So I'll give the episode an 8.5 out of 10, and that's that, you guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.